Well, we just pulled up at the roughest house on a pretty rough street, and we're about to attend a foreclosure auction. Boy, they might have to pay me to take this place. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin. I'm half of Two Guys Take on Real Estate, and I'm seeking refuge in the Rivian today because this is not an area that I want to be walking around at noon, never mind at midnight. We're going to have to explore this property, come up with a rehab budget, and run some numbers and see if we're willing to invest in this place. I'm really glad you're here with me, keeping me company, because I do not want to be soloing this adventure. Come along, let's go take a look as I reluctantly give up refuge of the Rivian to go do some reconnaissance. All right, so we're gonna go do some quick due diligence on this property. Really what we need to be doing is getting as much information we can about this property so I can get it over to my team electronically. We can try to figure out what our bidding strategy is gonna be. So the first thing we're gonna put together is a rehab budget. And looking at this place just on the outside, wow. Now, remember, with foreclosure auctions, you generally don't get a guided tour or a chance to do an inspection. So you're gonna guesstimate a lot about what's going on inside the home. Going by the looks of the outside of the home, the inside of the home is gonna be a train wreck too. So let's take a look and see what we can find out, including, is this place occupied? Is there a rightful tenant? Is there a previous or current owner? Is there some squatter that broke in through a back window last week? We don't know the answers to any of these things, so, wish me the best. We're gonna go snoop around this property and see what we can see. All right, so right off the bat, things you can see is the paint is in horrible shape. So you have wood siding, all flaking paint. My guess is most of the paint that you're gonna see around this house is flaking is lead. So this is a two-family house. That means you're probably gonna use it as a rental. I thought there was somebody arguing over there. As a rental, that means if you're gonna rent it out, you really wanna have lead certificates, making sure that it's safe for families with kids under 6. Remember, you can't say no to a renter because they have a child and you don't have lead certificates. That would be considered discrimination. It's your little tip today from us here at Two Guys Take on Real Estate. All right, let's explore around. Let's see what else we can see. We're gonna keep our head on a swivel. We don't know what might happen around here.
It's occupied.
It's occupied?
Yeah, it's occupied.
Okay, thanks. It's got 2 gas meter hookups and only 1 gas meter. So it could be that, one side is using gas, the other side has been out of commission for so long that the actual gas company has removed the meter. And the banker or attorney or somebody notified us that the property does have some kind of an occupant still living in this house, even in the way it's in. Not surprising. One of the things I do know is we also know it's occupied from walking up. And looking under this porch, there was the most adorable raccoon just lounging, hanging out under that porch. So we have at least one little freeloader that we'll have to take care of if we ever become the owner. All right, so we scouted around the property, and what we're doing is we're trying to come up with a bidding strategy based on how much work the property is going to need and how much the property would be worth if it was all fixed up. And to be frank, we see a lot of rundown houses, but this is why so many people love the idea of a foreclosure auction happening, is neighbors hate the fact that they are in a neighborhood where they have a blighted property like this existing, and then people are able to come along finally and get the property on track. Generally speaking, this house probably should have been condemned a long time ago. This is certainly not fit for habitation, and honestly, the majority of properties that I've dealt with and I've owned have had any kind of minor issue, have been threatened with condemnation for way minor stuff than this. So this is a pretty extreme version of something where for some reason the city has turned a blind eye to it. And unfortunately, everybody in the neighborhood has to suffer, including an occupant. So this is somehow an occupied property. This place is very much not up to code and genuinely pretty unsafe. So again, very surprising to me that it's been allowed to be occupied this entire time. Really what this place needs is to be sold today and put in the hands of somebody that's responsible, getting this place back on track, fixing up neighborhood blight, and turning it into a productive property again. Or the owner really should be put into receivership, which is where the owner is, by the city, stripped of their ownership rights and assigned, their management rights, and that management is given to a responsible party. We've actually done those, where that party will get the place up to code, on track, and then can settle up the tab, so to speak, with the current owner. Either way, it looks like finally this property is going to be moving towards getting dealt with, and it's long overdue, especially if you were a neighbor. All right, so to be really honest, this property would have to be very cheap. We'd have to have very, very low bidding on this for me to be really interested in acquiring this for us. It is a 2-family house, which I love because this is going to open the door to different options for what to do with the property. I could maybe keep it for our team. We could use it as an income property, right? As an investment property. We could sell it to somebody that's looking to live in one unit, rent out the other unit, and use it as a house hack. And we love helping people with house hacks. So different options for different types of properties, but this one here offers that kind of flexibility, which to me would give it maybe a little bit of a higher value in my book. The downside is it's a really tough neighborhood in a really tough city, and it's a really blighted property. There's almost nothing on the property you don't need to get involved with and touch and fix up. The last thing about it that really, really sucks is it's occupied. I think the occupant is the current slash soon to be former owner. And the fact that they're still at the property now through the auction, and that gives me some thought that they probably will continue to squat in the property after the sale has gone through and it's no longer theirs. Now you're looking at having to go through a process of evicting somebody. That could take thousands of dollars and take maybe a year of your time before you can accomplish that. Meanwhile, you're responsible for the property being up to code and working properly while the person who created the blighted conditions is living in it. You might even have to go so far as to make repairs to the property and put them up in a hotel at your expense while you make those repairs. This is a huge, huge, huge variable. And if you're a beginner, I would really suggest stay away from this type of a situation if you're looking to buy your first or second property. Avoid owner-occupied kind of holdover squatter situations, especially the ones that'll find money to spend on an attorney instead of spending that money on their mortgage.
It's $127,300. So I have $127,300. Does anyone want to go 130? The lowest I can go today is 128. I'm hearing crickets. Out. All right. So Connor is out. Kevin is out. I'm at $127,300 once, $127,300 twice. So I'm back to the bank for $127,300.
Wow, a bank put in a bid of $127,000, which is probably what was basically owed on the property, but is way more than I'd ever want to spend to get involved in this property with this condition, in this area, and with an occupant, probably the former owner, who's apparently refusing to leave. What a train wreck. Let the bank have this one, you guys. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff, kind of like this one here, and we wrote about it in our book, Foreclosures Unlocked. So if you can't get enough of our videos, the next thing you should do is pick up an audio copy of our book, Foreclosures Unlocked, available on Amazon. You know, we go to tons of auctions every week, and I want to make sure we get to share our experience with you. So make sure you subscribe so you can see all of our other videos about how this process works and how you might buy a house at half price.